Hey, good morning. And I'm going to give it just 1 to 2 more minutes for a couple of other people to join. Hang in there, okay? All right. Good morning.
Otis.
What's what? All right, so I want to go ahead and get started, and this is going to be recorded, so that way I'll send it to you whenever we're done. But I think the thing that we really want to get to is the BPO template, and then the purpose and uses that you can use it for. So I want to go ahead and share my screen and bring up the BPO. And can everyone see the BPO template? All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go over this real quick, and then I'm going to break down how do you get to it. Okay, so the difference between a BPO and a CMA is a BPO is more detail oriented, and it also gives it's really designed for the banks. It gives them an idea of what's going on with the unit itself, and then the value of the unit, and then all the characteristics surrounding that. So as you can see here in this is page 1. You'll see at the very beginning the BPO. This is an initial. Sometimes you're gonna have to do it for a second time or updated or exterior only. When I sold a bunch of bank-owned homes for Fannie Mae and a couple of credit unions, SunTrust, Wells Fargo, so on and so forth, they wanted an idea not only of the value of the home, but they wanted an idea of the condition of the home, and they wanted an idea of the condition of the neighborhood. And so, and then as we would take on that asset, sometimes I had an asset or a home that was, hang on, I may have had it for 6 or 7 months before I actually listed it on the market. And part of that game was Fannie Mae had so many bank-owned homes that they would sell one,
I just wanted to screenshot that.
and then they would sell another one, push the market up, and then they would sell another one. So I don't know if you remember, they called it the zombie inventory, right? And so with that said, you may have more.
Kim told me that this song plays when somebody dies.
And if everyone could,
Someone's on mute.
I'm just gonna see if I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone out real quick. Okay. Now, going back, market area information. The market, this one is suburban. This one is values are appreciating still. Competition, there's a shortage in this particular neighborhood. Vandalism risk. This is a pretty important thing for them to know. Is it a high risk, medium risk, low risk vandalism area? And then I didn't fill this out, but you'll see here selling time, the average selling time for everything in that market. And then, of course, this is national, so we don't have to really worry about earthquake insurance, solvents, or anything like that, but earthquake especially. And then conventional financing eligible. So if it can get conventional financing, you want to check that. If it cannot, and it's a cash only deal, then you want to check that as well. Or if it's a rehab. This particular home was owner occupied. It was a single family. Move this over here. And you'll see here, they're asking for a couple quick questions. So subject, current situation, neighborhood market, solid neighborhood, low crime rate, and a good school district. I didn't put anything on the location here, but if it's in a suburban location with a, you know, it may have something funky, or if it's a planned urban development, in other words, it's a cookie cutter neighborhood. In some cases, it might be downtown, and those homes were built in the 50s or 60s. If you know of any title or legal issues, you want to put it here. So if it's currently in foreclosure or list pendants, you want to put that there. Any financing issues, again, if the home is wrecked and it needs to be repaired.
I'm not. I didn't ask you when you're ready. I said, when I'm ready, I come downstairs. So I keep studying.
And then we have, as you can see, HOA, property taxes, inspections recommended. I would say inspections recommended. If you're not sure if it's going to pass a 4-point inspection, I would recommend that. If the roof is kind of old, I would recommend a roof certification. If it's just old in general, then I would even consider inspections on the well, the septic, and so forth. Repairs. So if you take on a home and it needs a lot of love, or it needs a landscaping package or something like that, this is where you would put that in there. If the pool is trashed, you want to put that in there as well. And then marketability of subject. Explain any functional or economic obsolescence. What that means is, if the home, I'll give you an example. I had a home that it was a nice house that had 2 suites, 2 master suites. One was upstairs, one was downstairs. The one downstairs was outfitted for handicap. And that makes it a functional obsolescence. Not everyone wants handicap in their master bedroom, but some people are specifically looking for handicap. And so in those scenarios, it would be a functional obsolescence. And you just want to make note of that so the bank understands, hey, this house isn't like every other one. It actually has handicap. Give me one quick sec. And then you'll see here identify any positive or negative site location influences. This particular one, property has no site restrictions from an HOA and can be used as an Airbnb for investor income. So this is something that is a little bit unique to many of the homes that might be out there. Sorry about that. Here we are. And so then you have any anticipated resale problems. I put here rates have increased. Sorry, the mortgage rates have increased. That's going to be a resale problem for almost every home out there. And then on this house, where we priced it for a 30-day quick sale, we priced it at 1.2 to sell it at 1.75, 1.075. But for a 90 to 120-day mortgage period value, I would go up more, test the market, see what the market says, and I would try to sell it at where I'd listed this one at the 120 day. So, or at the 30 day. So 90 to 120 days is always going to try to be pushing the market. And the bank wants to know this because they don't need to figure out what their return on their investment is. If you do get in the bank, short sales or foreclosures or anything like that, one of the things that you have to understand with the bank is they already own the home free and clear. Therefore, the only thing that they're paying for that year is their taxes, and they're paying for their insurance, which is generally a blanket policy for all their houses. And so for them, if they can make an extra 10 grand by waiting an extra 6 months, it makes sense because they're not in a big hurry. They're paying the taxes regardless for the whole year, for prorated for the year. And so that's a sunk cost. If they can regain that cost and make more money on top of it, then it makes sense for them to market it for 90 to 120 days. And then of course, this is an area for your agent signature and so forth. Now, what we're going to really get into here is some of the nitty gritty of this stuff, right? So this is for listings. This is our competition right here. So when I did this particular BPO, I also looked at our competition, how far the competition was away, and then I looked at where the competition was priced. And as you can see here, it does vary. I mean, this guy's still on the market right now. I just looked. He's at finally like at 1.4 million, and it's a nice house. It's set up for Airbnb, but at the end of the day, it's not. It's overpriced and it's not selling. These homes have since sold. Now, I do not make any adjustments on the competition. I just recognize the competition and put it on there, so that way the seller does understand what we're up against. And then on this particular home, I chose this BPO because this was on a deep water canal in Tampa Bay. And there's not a lot of deep water canals in Tampa Bay, homes on deep water canals. So it's a little bit of a different animal. It's a functional obsolescence, if you will. And so what we want to do now is find other deep water canals, which could take us beyond a mile, and in some cases up to 3 miles, right? And then in others, I got pretty lucky with this one. I only had to go out 1 mile for all of it. And so we had listed this home, original list price was 1.2 million. And so I'm looking at these comparables. This one was listed at 1.4 million, but it's sold at 1.25 million. It's a mile away. This is a great comparable rate. This one was listed at 1.1 million, but it ended up selling it at 995,000. Now, just under this, you'll see that I sold the date that it's sold. And if it was cash, conventional, FHA, whatever the case may be, obviously on a big one like this, not FHA. This is price per square foot. This is important because appraisers pay more attention to this than generally realtors do. The price per square foot, if you were to take all 3 of these, add them together and divide it by 3, it's going to give you your average price per square foot, and that's going to give you a variable or a variance in which you can land your value in between. So if you're defending an appraisal and you know that you're somewhere inside this price per square foot, then you know that you're inside the safe zone of defending the value of the appraisal. The farther up you go, like right here, this one's $527 per square foot. If you go above that, you're really, it's harder to get the value on that. And you have to tell your seller that too. The higher we go, the riskier it gets. But this is the range that we can defend the value of the appraisal. Now, here is important. This is seller concession. So if this one right here had 15,000 in seller concession, you got to knock that off the top of the price. And then you'll see days on market. So this one sold, it was 30 days on the market. This was 24 days on the market. This was 3 days on the market. So they really kind of let this one go and they gave it away. But if you look here, it was listed at 725 and they sold it at 780. So they made a few deals here. Location is suburban. Site, this is on 1/4 of an acre. This is on 0.3 of 2 of an acre. So I adjusted on the lot because the lot does mean something with this particular BPO. Now, if you're in a cookie cutter neighborhood and all the lots are generally between 0.15 and 0.20, the adjustment on those lots isn't as important. Now, you'll notice here it says site, lot, and size. If the lot has more, in this scenario, if it's got more waterfront, then you want to make an adjustment for that, right? This one had a little bit longer seawall. I didn't put that in there, but I got the acreage in there, which it made a little bit of a difference here. As you can see, 20,000. This one was a little bit more, so I gave it 8,000. So here's what's important about that. You always want to make it equal to the subject property. Here's our subject property. And so to make it equal, this one's bigger, so I got to take money away from it to make it equal to this. This one is smaller, so I give it some money to make it equal to this. And this one, of course, is smaller, so I give it money to make it equal to the subject. And then property type, these are all single family residents. This is square footage. Now, I find that if you're doing a BPO on anything that's in the ballpark of up to 2,000 or 2,300 square foot, the general range that I make the adjustments at is right around $33 to $35 a square foot. And that always got, good reviews and good grades with Fannie Mae, because Fannie Mae would grade me out. If you're above that, if you're like 2,500 square foot to 3,200 square feet, something along those lines, then you want to make about a $50 square foot adjustment. And then anything above that, you're getting into mansions and so forth. You need to bring it up to close to 100, but you want to make it where it's also realistic. And so on
And
this
all
one,
this-
if I were to make a $527 adjustment per square foot, it would be a crazy adjustment, and it would make this thing not a true BPO.
And Otis, where you getting the numbers from?
If you ever take a
He can't hear me.
appraisal and you do reverse engineering on the appraisal and do the math on that, you'll see where the appraisals generally land, right? So on this one, the subject property is 2,524 square foot. This one's a little bit less, so I gave it some money to make it equal. This one is far less, so I gave it 18,000 to make it equal. Now, generally, I don't like to go above or below 300 square foot, but I want to remind you, this is a unique property, so we're going by location first. We're going by the subject location being right at, on the saltwater canal. This one is way less, so I gave it 2,600 square foot, right? And then year built, generally.
Otis, can you hear me?
Excuse me?
Oh, you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you explain how you're getting those numbers for people that don't know, like how
Yeah,
you
yeah.
subtracting?
So here's the way you're supposed to do it, or the general rule of thumb, is you add these three up, the price per square foot, and then you divide them by 3, and that's what you should make your adjustment. However, if you recall, I gave everyone that one day I trained the appraiser cheat sheet. And the
Right.
appraiser cheat sheet is a little bit different adjustments in the value. So what I did with this one, and if we were to do a reverse engineer, I take them up, I divide it. But the way I came up with these numbers is I'm just going to do a quick reverse math on it. On the first one, so you figure it is 2,372 square feet. I subtract the subject property of 2,524, I get negative 152. So if I take 5,016 divided by negative 152, hang on. Then I didn't do that right. Hang on, I'm sorry, guys. It's 33 bucks a square foot. So I just kept everything at 33 bucks a square foot on this. And again, that is the general rule of thumb for homes going up to 2,500 square foot, $33 a square foot. If you make your adjustments on that, you're going to find yourself in line with almost every appraiser out there. I want to go back one step. If the home is 2,500 square foot or larger, let's say it's 2,500 square feet to 3,200 square foot, you're going to adjust that to $50 a square foot. If it is larger than 3,300, 32 or 3,300 square feet, then you're going to size it up to, sometimes it's going to be anywhere between $75 a square foot to $100 a square foot. So the key that everyone needs to understand is there are no absolutes. It's always variables. And when you think about it, an appraiser gives his professional opinion, and then he backs it up with doing the math and the numbers and so forth. I've taken probably 50 appraisals, maybe not quite, maybe 40 appraisals, and I reverse engineered them to figure out what's the appraiser thinking when he does this math, and then I duplicated that. And so what I'm giving you is my work over the course of 10 years, just duplicate what I have. And I have an appraisal cheat sheet that I'm going to give everyone as well. So when we're done with this, I'll email the appraisal cheat sheet to you, Rodney. If you could just pass it along, that'd be great.
Yep.
And so are we cool here? Does anyone else have any questions? I want to make sure that we really embrace this before I move on. So on square footage adjustments, are we cool?
So I kind of got a little lost because you said you divided, so you add up the 3 comparable, divided by 3, which gave me 496.
Correct.
But then, and then you're gonna go, are you minusing the comparable property square footage from the subject, or like,
No,
because I'm trying to figure out how you got 5,016.
Yeah, so let's pause real quick. the general rule of thumb is you add those up and you divide it, and that's how you get the number that you came to, right? Now, and what was the number that you got? For what?
I got 496.
496. Okay. So if you were to take, that's $152 square foot difference. And if you were to multiply that times 496, you got $75,000 in adjustments. And so I think we all can agree that that's an unrealistic adjustment. And so what's happened is, I got a cricket in my office. So what's happened is the appraisers have a set cheat sheet that they use. And so anything 25, any home 2,500 square foot or less, they're going to use $33. So what I told you at the beginning, which is the general rule of thumb, right? That's going to be out the window in this scenario because we got some small homes on $1 million lots. And so adjusting the home value per square foot it's not realistic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're going to use $33 a square foot. So if you're taking notes, this is a pretty important note to take. Homes that are 2,500 square foot or less, you're adjusting it at $33 per square foot when you make the adjustments to the subject property. Here's the next note. Homes that are 2,500 square foot are up to 32 or 3,300 square feet. You're adjusting those homes at $50 a square. And then homes north of that, you can generally go almost up to $100 a square. And again, I'm going to follow up with the cheat sheet for all these adjustments. Okay. The next part of adjustments is the year built. So our subject property. And before I move on, does everyone kind of grasp what I'm talking about there? And reps are going to really help you out. The more you do it, the more you grasp it. But does everyone kind of grasp the concept of what I'm talking about with the adjustment per square foot? All right, cool. Silence means yes. All right. Year built, 1967. Now, once again, this is an opinionated adjustment here. But the rule of thumb is either $300 per year or $500 per year. And so you'll see on this one, I just adjusted it $300 per year. Now, the newer the home, the higher I adjust it. So if it's like new construction that was built in 2018 or 19, that's $500 a year. But we're talking about homes that were built in the 60s and in the 80s. So those are $300 per year. Now, the next line here is condition. This is important to pay attention to this, okay? Because as you can see, these homes that I'm using, they're older homes. And so our subject property was in good condition. New roof, new AC. It was built in 67, but it had been kept up. It had new, granite countertops, new flooring, new paint, a lot of different stuff. They had updated the home quite well. It wasn't brand new construction, but it has been updated. Now, the comparable one, this home was decked out. I mean, they put a lot of money into this house. It had top of the line everything, from the countertops to kitchen, had the farm sink. I mean, everything they did to the house was top notch. And so it's compared as a C2. C2 is a little bit better, condition 2. Condition 1, or C1, means that it's a brand new custom built house. Everything is brand new. C2 means it had been updated. It is a really nice house. C3 is your average house. It's got, and then C4 is like, it needs some love. You can live in it, but it needs a new roof. It needs new AC. It needs some paint. It needs some love, right? C5, you can't live in it. And so all the other comparables on this were C3, which means they're average. This one, though, was a really nice house. And I looked at the photos. I really inspected the area. And in many cases, I highly encourage you, if you're going to the house, the subject property, go drive by the other comparables just to make sure that they're also in the same neighborhood or comparable neighborhoods, right? So I adjusted at 50 grand on this. And how I came to 50 grand was I knew that if I adjusted it too much, it would lower the value of what I needed to defend. If I didn't adjust it enough, then the appraiser would look at it and probably, you know, make his own adjustment on it. And so I kept it right in line with what an appraiser would do. And again, I highly recommend everyone here to take a look at some of your appraisals and reverse engineer it. Just take a look at it, see what they've done to how they get to the market value they got. That will make you more of a pro as well. Before I move on from condition, does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. And then bedrooms, room, bedroom, and bathroom count. So general rule of thumb is 5,000 per bedroom. Unless it's a huge house with like 10 bedrooms. But it's 5,000 per bedroom. It's 4,000 or 3,000 per bathroom. Now, this is dependent on how big the bathroom is. If it's built in 67 and it's a tiny little bathroom, it's 3,000 per bathroom, right? If it's a little bit bigger, like a master bathroom, and it's got a garden tub and a shower and a closet, that's 4,000 per bathroom, right? If it's a half bath, 1,500. And so you got to kind of get an idea of what the cost would be to build a half bath, right? And in today's world, those costs have gone up a little bit, but if they're looking at a home built in 1984, a half bath is about 1,500. Okay, so you'll see here, the subject property was 11 total rooms, 6 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. And this property was inferior. It had 10 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3 full baths. So I made the adjustment here. You'll see 5,000 per bedroom, and then 2,500 for the half bath. So I made that one because it was the subject property. I made the adjustment that way. So that's how I got the math on this. This one, same thing, full bathroom. So I get a 4 grand per bathroom, 5,000 per bedroom. That's how I got 14 grand. And you'll see this matches what's over here. And then this, where it says basement unfinished, I leave that there because this is a national, but you can change it. So the BPO template I'm sending to you, please put whatever you need in there to make it work. If it's a high rise that you're doing, put the floors, right? Because the further up you go on a high rise, the more expensive it is. So you want to make the adjustments on the floors, right? If it is, it's got docks or something like that, and it's on a lake, then make those adjustments. But put that in there where it says basement unfinished. You can take that out. It's completely changeable for you, okay? You'll see here, I put water, and the subject property is a saltwater canal with a dock. And you'll see all my subject properties are equal saltwater canals with docks. Heating and cooling, this is an HVAC, nothing crazy. In some scenarios, when I was doing a lot of the bank-owned homes, you'd find some homes didn't have central heat and air. It had window units, so you got to put that in there for the adjustment. So well or septic, public means it's using sewage, and it's using fresh water from the city. If it's not public and it has a well and a septic, then you want to make note, private or well septic. And there's adjustments for that as well. Parking, garage, 2-car garage. So you'll see that I got 2-car garage. So I found everything to be equal on that. And then here, where there's a pool and spa, subject property has pool, and the first comparable does not. So I gave it 30 grand. This one has a pool, it's equal. And this one I gave 40 grand. So I didn't do my math right on that one, right? But I got what I needed as far as values. So here's my values. When I add all my, I'm gonna go up just a little bit. So when I make my adjustments here from where it's sold at 1.25, and I subtract 19,000, and we got about 10 minutes, so I wanna make this quick. We have about a 19 minus 19,000 plus 5 minus 51 minus 50,000 plus 12,5, and then I gave it another 30 for the pool. That's how I get this value right here. So all things equal to the subject property, I got 1.223. This one is a little bit different. It's sold for less, right? And it's a much smaller unit, smaller property. So I gave it 8. It's a much older property, so I gave it 18 there, or smaller here, gave it 18 grand. It's actually a little newer, so I took 600 off. And then it doesn't have the bedroom bathroom count, so I gave it 14, and that brought me to 1,035,000. And then on this one, sold at 780. So I really needed to give it some love, right, to bring the value up, but it still only brought me to 864. So on this BPO, the value that I was trying to reach was 1,050,000. That's what we put it under contract at. And so by taking these, you add these 3 together, you divide it by 3, and you get kind of an idea of where you're going to land. But I stuck the value on this. So the appraisal came back at 1,050,000, exactly where I needed to be. I did the work for the guy, because most appraisers, when they're doing an appraisal on an anomaly, saltwater canal, they don't do those all the time. They want to do the ones that the real, the cookie cutter neighborhood, planned urban development. We have a tract of houses. They're all really similar homes. You don't have to go very far to find a substitutable home. That's where it's easy. But when they have a ski lake, you have to find other homes with a ski lake, right? You don't want to compare it to other homes that are on a pond, because a pond isn't as good as a ski lake. We want something that's on a ski lake. And so you may have to go out a mile or 3 miles or 5 miles in some scenarios. But you want to make sure that you're comparing the subject property to similar subject properties in their their location, or what the property use is for. When I did a beach home, you want to make sure you got other beach homes. That makes a huge difference. And then you'll see here, broker market recommendations, the property marketing conditions. As is, the home was fine. The home was good. It didn't need any repairs or anything like that. Most likely financing, conventional VA, because those conventional and VA can do jumbo loans, no problem. FHA cannot. Cash can do it, right? And then target market is going to be a move up or an investor, because remember, this was also zoned for Airbnb. And then market comments and plan section. You can really go deep on this, but I built this for an appraiser, so I wasn't really looking to give him my marketing plan. I just wanted to give him what we were doing here. So subject property measured out at 2450, which was slightly different than public records. And then sold comparable, number 1 was superior in lot size, condition, age, and gross living area. That's GLA, equals gross living area. But it was inferior in bedroom count, bathroom count, and did not have a pool. And you'll see here sold comp superior in age, inferior in lot size, GLA, bedroom count, and bathroom count. And then sold comp 3, inferior in lot size, GLA, bed ROM count, spelled that, bath count, and no pool. And so really that buttons it up. Now I want to add this to it, right? So if you go find something and you know it needs repairs, you're going to put the repairs right here. Needs roof, 20 grand. Needs updated flooring, and you want to generally do about $1.50 square foot for flooring. Needs new kitchen. You just put all that right here. So if you're looking for off-market homes for your investors, and you want to give him a BPO as to what he can purchase it for, and then what the retail value would be if he sold it after he fixed it up, and then you find here what the cost of cure is, then you have, you've recognized it, and that becomes part of the part right up here where it says quick day sale, and then repaired value, you put it here. So this is as is, see how it says as is, and this is repaired. So now on the flip side of that, I had a home that was brand new, and they did everything upgraded. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was so upgraded. It was more upgraded than what the market would allow. In other words, they over improved the home, because all the comps around it wouldn't give them the retail value of what they actually spent to put in the home. But I made note, they had receipts, so I put all the receipts behind this. And then I put the cost of everything that they spent to upgrade the home. So they had these great hurricane shutters, an outdoor kitchen, all this stuff. So that way I add the value here, and it gives the appraiser the information without him having to go search for it. And so that way, really, again, you're doing the job for the appraiser. So we are right about 4 minutes. I want to open it up for questions and answers, and then have a quick chat about this. So, anybody? Okay. So everyone seems to have a good grasp on this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to share. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to go into how do I find comps? Because once again, that's pretty important, right? What's the secret? What's the quickest way for me to go get comps? So when I go to MLS, and I'm here now, let's move this over. I go to sold, make sure it's within 180, and then I will go 1/2. And on this one, I'll pull, let me see, what was that? 84. I forgot what the address, 8425. So I find it here. I click on that. Now my map area is selected, right? Now I know that this home is on a canal. So I want to make sure that the property style is single family. And I bring it down. And water frontage, I go brackish saltwater canal. And that gives me 9, right? Now, notice I haven't done square footage yet. All I want to do is find other similar homes with the same lot that I'm looking for, right? So here is homes that are on the market. Here is homes that have sold. So for mine, I'm going to say, all right, cool, man. I got these 2, boom, that are all really good comps. And then I've got all 3 of these, 4 of these that are going to be competition. So I have sold comparables, and then I got competition, right? And if you remember, my subject property is 2527. This is my subject property right here. I actually sold it for 130,000. And so now I want to refine it, show selected. And so here's something that I use as just a little bit of a cheat sheet. I go to actions, I go to stats, and then I go to tabular. And this gives me my days to close. So if I price it, and I know that, they're looking for something to close pretty quick, then I tell them, look, this is about where we have to price it. At $456 a square foot. This one was -2. So this one here is an anomaly. So I got to get that out of there. Hang on. It was sold off market. Pull that out. And I'll put this one and this one in here. Show selected. And you got to look for the anomalies as well, because otherwise it'll mess up all your numbers. And we all see the ones that are in MLS. Now this is a little bit more realistic, right? So max, six bedroom, 4 bath, 3,000 square foot. If you were to price it right around 1.2, you're looking at 67 days before you get a contract, and you're looking at 100 days before it closes. So this sheet I always bring, because when I bring this sheet, I tell the seller, hey, look, let's create realistic expectations by what the data says. And by the way, I have less than a minute. So what I'll do is when this ends, I'll start it back up so we can finish this, okay? If you want to sell it within 30 days, this gives them right here, hey, 930,000, you should get a contract within 30 days, right? But really you're looking at the price per square foot right here, $433 a square foot. But this will at least buy you time and expectations. If you want to sell it at top of the market, don't expect for it to go into contract next week. That market is gone. We've shifted. We're in a more balanced market, and this is more realistic. 30 days on the market. We really got to test it and see what it says and give us feedback. And so that way we can make the adjustments from there.